Now, it's pretty much universally known at this point in time that Disney has no idea what they are doing with their live-action remakes. We know that Bob Iger has already announced plans a couple of weeks ago about his overall outlook on what they want to do with Bambi, what they want to do with other movies out there, such as Sword in the Stone and Lilo and Stitch, as well as rebooting the Maleficent movies, as well as, let's not forget about Alice in Wonderland, Beauty and the Beast, and even really bringing out Hercules in live action. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And one thing about Snow White 2024, or just Snow White the live action remake that's been going through a lot of damage control lately, has a lot to do with what, of course, Disney has been doing to this movie and why recently it is spelling a recipe for disaster. Now, we know that this is going to be an opportunity for people that really are just fed up with Disney to kind of show them exactly what, everyone's all about, what they really want to see on the big screen, and why they just want common sense from now on, moving forward, and they just want good storytelling, and that's it, period, the end. So, this is where matters get even more serious, revolving around Disney and the current Snow White film. Let's get into all of this, because it does actually involve director Mark Webb. You guys may or may not know Mark Webb, but he is the one that created 500 Days of Summer, as well as the Amazing Spider-Man movies. So, moving forward here, with Snow White 24 going through endless damage control, one major development has to do with Disney's plan to canceling out multiple sequences from the current cut of this movie. Director Mark Webb had to deliver the following and confirmed a lot of different aspects about that. I mean, we just shot so much stuff. Endless footage was shot, and in our previous cut, we knew we had to make some pretty drastic changes. Once I got the call from way up at Disney that this film needed to be altered. So right now we are going through some serious revisions. We are taking baby steps to make the movie right and to make it a universal experience. It needs to be accepted in order to be acceptable and to the world. And though we are still ditching the source material, we just needed to seriously alter the stories of the Evil Queen and Snow White, and how that story will evolve in the new cut of the film that we have been working on. We have a great editing team, and I thank them every day, but it's also not so reassuring when you have a small minority of people that are so loud and opinionated, trying to ruin the experience for everyone. Now, guys, let me just say one thing about Mark Webb, is that he has made this openly clear before in the past that he's extremely bothered by what he sees it as a small minority of fans, or just people that want to defend pop culture. And really, guys, it's the majority. It's not the minority. Nearly everybody did not like the leaked photograph of Snow White by Disney, and thought that the magical creatures, as Disney calls them now, looked absolutely ridiculous. They looked like, they came straight out of a different franchise and got thrown into Snow White as a film, and it made absolutely no sense. And so here you have director Mark Webb not only confirming that there's a lot of drastic cutbacks happening with Snow White as far as scenes go, but on top of that, there's also the fact that he is extremely bothered over all of the people raising their voices, the endless backlash, the growing backlash, mind you, over Snow White 24. And you know what? I mean, Disney was asking for it. I mean, what were they thinking? By ditching the source material, by throwing somebody in like a Zegler, who is just insufferable as an actress and as a person, and to top it all off, we have a lot of drama happening behind closed doors for Snow White, between those leaked photographs surfacing on the internet, between Mark Webb really just defending Disney and agreeing with everything that Greta Gerwig wrote for this film. And let's not also forget about how Bob Iger himself even openly made it clear, vocally, that they intentionally wanted to drive away from the source material. So anyway, let's get into the further aspects about all of this and what Mark Webb had to say. So, to top that all off, he goes on to elaborate further. I had the great opportunity to retell the iconic tale and turn it inside out, to really explore new options to make something original. And of course, always, in filmmaking, you are set to change things along the way. That's just expected. We are embracing quite a number of cutbacks scenes right now for the film, so that we can cater the running time to a wide range demographic, whether that be an older audience or a younger audience. We want everyone to sit through this thing engaged. I don't speak for what will be released, but some of the footage that won't be making it into the final cut, I think was some of the best shot footage in a long time in my career. The naysayers need to sit back and calm down and accept this film for what it is. Yes, it's a retelling, and no, we are not retelling the story of 1937. That would be too predictable and boring. We wanted to do something different, and Greta Gerwig is a golden tier writer who got to work on this masterpiece. We also figured out what's the best way to conclude this story and where that can leave audiences, thinking as they walk out of the theater. Now again, you can see that Mark Webb is just really putting Greta Gerwig on, like, you know, this tier of calling her a golden-aged writer. And I don't believe that she's all that great of a writer, to be honest. I mean, yes, Barbie was a success. Yes, it made money at the end of the day, but we all have to remember that hidden in there, you know, she really loves the word, taking down the patriarchy this and that. It was very repetitive, and she plans to do the same with Snow White. So we already know that she is a woke writer. We already know this. This is common knowledge. And I think not a lot of people realize that this is who is really involved in the development of the Snow White story itself. Alright, so it's not entirely director Mark Webb. You know, Mark Webb's just directing the scenes, right? He's really kind of guiding the way on how these scenes are going to be executed on film. But Greta Gerwig is the one that actually wrote the dialogue. She wrote the scenes that are to be displayed, how the story overall flows from point A to point B. That's all Greta and Erin, alright? Erin Wilson. So, interestingly enough, Mark Webb confirming here that there are serious cutbacks happening with Snow White, that there was so much footage shot for this movie, more than enough to handle. And it really takes me back to The Rise of Skywalker, the last Star Wars film that released back in 2019, where J.J. Abrams said, yeah, we shot so much footage that we could have made another movie with all that extra footage. That's how much they really shot, and they're still trying to figure out the ending. Right? The new ending for Snow White. They're still trying to experiment with that and really kind of find a way to fix that, because we know that there's a lot of things being rearranged right now through the re-editing phase. Again, that's plan A. Plan B is to do some reshoots. If and only if the SAG strikes come to an end by this month, they can do some reshoots throughout November and December and set things up in post for January to February, get things up and rolling, and then release the movie in March without having to delay it. That's only if the SAG strikes close and end this month, which is a real big 50-50 chance. So anyway, guys, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.